Now here's the thing right here, is there are a lot of distractions in the world that keep us from all, from loving God with all. It's kind of like this. Life is basically like a shopping mall. And one of my favorite things to do is right after Thanksgiving is to go to the mall. Day after Thanksgiving. Most people would say you're crazy. It's one of the busiest shopping days of the year. I never buy anything on that day. I just like to go and watch people because they're nuts. And it's hilarious. They're just scrambling, going after everything. And I just like to sit there and look at them and go, "Gee, it's so fun. This is hilarious." It's like sport, And here's the thing right here, is like the mall. You've got all of these things to choose from. You've got hundreds of stores with every imaginable possible item that you could ever want. And if you go and you look in the stores, just hundreds and thousands of items in each little bit. There is so much to choose from. Life is exactly that same way. There is so much out there, and we can take and we can load on anything we want. And we live in America, we can have anything we want. You can have anything you want to. I remember when I was a kid, my favorite toy was Legos. The reason why my favorite toy was Legos because if I saw something that I thought I would want and be cool and to have that toy, but I couldn't have it, I could just make it out of Legos. I could just put it together. And I remember my favorite items, I would make airplanes, I would make space shuttles. You obviously can't buy a space shuttle, so I bet you can make it out of Legos. I would make the General Lee, from the Dukes of Hazzard. I'd make the Knight Rider car. And it was an amazing thing. We can have everything. Now, it's so funny because it's like you dream up a toy, you don't need Legos anymore. You can just have it. Get on the internet, you can find it. And it's kind of a fun game I like to play, is if I think of an item and I think of how rare it is, just try to find it on the internet, and I tell you what, I've been able to find just about everything. We can have everything that we want in America. So we load ourselves up with the all, and we have these distractions, and it's easy to make God just a little bit of it. Now here's the thing that we do as parents, okay? And this is very true. Is a lot of times we pour into our careers, we pour into our jobs for the reason of trying to make it so our kids can have more. But in so doing, we actually wind up giving them less of God. And so to make up for it, we give them an adult-sized schedule. And we load them up with activities, with sports, with music, with places to go here, places to go there. And we make it so busy that we teach them, make God just a little bit. That's a shame. We should not do that. Now the name of our youth group, the kids came up with this name themselves, is Revolve. And they came up with it because I think they just thought it was a cool name, and it is a cool name. But I got to thinking about it last night. Revolve, think about it. Everything is supposed to revolve around God. Okay, so think of the universe, our universe. The sun is at the center, and all the planets and everything revolves around that. That's a great picture of the way life is supposed to be. Is we have God, and everything revolves around Him. Now, what was weird is there was one time in our history where people didn't believe that. Is they actually thought that the earth was the center of the universe and the sun moved around the earth. They didn't know. Now, we know that that's false now. But I tell you what we do is a lot of times we don't have everything revolving around God. Is we have our activities at the center of the universe and everything revolves around them. That is not good, my friend. And then take it a step further, is what a lot of parents do, is they make their children the center of the universe, and everything revolves around the child. Now that sounds good. Once it's about the kids, it's good. But that is wrong. That is teaching them to put God, make Him secondary, make Him less. Everything needs to revolve around God. Let me give you some stats right here. This is really, really interesting. Somebody did some research, and they did some study of kids who became active Christ followers as adults, active Christians as adults. And here's what they came up with. They learned that if mom and dad both went to church, then 72% of kids would go to church as adults, and they would follow Christ. Okay? If mom only went to church, 15% of those kids would follow Christ as adults. And this is the one that really blew me away. If the dad only went to church, 55% of kids what is adults. Isn't that really weird? The dad is, for whatever reason, it was quite a bit higher. I don't know what that says to you guys, but that says to me, man, my role is very important as far as teaching your kids to love their God and to keep him number one. And if neither mom or dad went to church, only 6% of kids did as adults. What you do as parents is huge. And here's the question for you. Do you love God with all of your heart, or do you love him with some of your heart? You can literally change generations by just solidifying that fact right there. Love your God. Now here's the number 2 thing right here. Not only to love your God, but number 2, lead your family. Now let's look at Deuteronomy 6, starting in verse 6. It says, these commandments that I give you today are to be upon your hearts. Excuse me. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your homes and on your gates. Now, look at that. I think that's pretty cool right there. Impress these things on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home, whenever you walk along the road, whenever you lie down, whenever you get up. Basically what they're saying is you lead them all the time. I mean, that covers the gambit of life right there. Lead your family. Edward, Duke of Windsor, was part of the monarchy back in the 1930s. He died in 1972, and this is what he said about America. He said, the thing that impresses me the most about America is the way that the parents obey their children. He wasn't giving us a compliment by that. It's supposed to be the other way around. And that is very, very true. How do we turn that tide? Lead. Lead your family. Well, how do you lead? What's the operative word? Here's the word right here. Intentionality. Leading your family is not something that just happens. It's not something that is just the way it should be, and that's it. You have to lead with intentionality. That means you have to make up your mind, I'm going to lead my family. I am going to love God. I'm going to lead my family, and you be intentional about it. How do you do that? Well, there's a lot of things that you can do to do that. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that we do in our home. These are certainly not the only things that can be done, but I think that there's some good things that work well. One of the things that we try to do in our family to lead intentionally is we try to make our home the most fun place on the earth for our kids to live. We want it to be the place that they want to come back to. And so we try to build a really strong family identity. And so how do we do that? Well, here's some of the things we do. We try to schedule family times and just schedule them on our calendar and make sure that there's no other activities but just doing family stuff at those times. Another thing that we do that is kind of, you might not think about, is we try to make reading very, very important in our home. And we try to encourage our kids, even when they were little, whenever we would do our quiet times, is we would have them grab a book or something and say, hey, this is your quiet time, this is your reading time. Even now, as the kids are starting to learn how to read, is we have them read a lot. In fact, Christian, now that he can read, he was one of the top readers in his class in the last couple of months. And why is that important? That's important because, number one, it's getting him a little bit weaned off of some of the stuff that just kind of, video games, TV, that kind of, messes with your mind a little bit. But it also teaches him, whenever he can start to read that Bible, which he already does read his Bible, is he can get in there and he can read the Word of God for himself. And he's not just getting it from me, but he's getting it from the Bible, and he's developing his relationship with God. And it can be real. It won't be off the coattails of dad or mom, but it'll be something that he's on. And reading is one of the ways that we do that. The Word of God is one of the best ways to get that in us, okay?